All right, hello everyone. I wanted to make a quick little video here and outline uh, some ideas that I have for you guys with regards to prepping for your exams. Oftentimes, I found that I meet with students in office hours after the second or the third exam, and some of the suggestions that I'm going to give you today are things that I give to them, and I wanted to go ahead and get ahead of the curve and put those out on record before the first exam so everyone can hear them, rather than waiting until maybe you've struggled on an exam before thinking through some of these things. So the first thing that I want to have you guys think about is the concepts. Most students focus more on the working out problems rather than the concepts. And I think the reason for that is that when you work through a practice problem, you have a clear ending and you either succeed or you fail at the problem. And if you fail at the problem, you try another one. And if you succeed, you feel good about it. Concepts aren't quite as straightforward with that. And so to alleviate that, what I highly recommend is flashcards. I really recommend that you make flashcards for every definition, every concept, every symbol, every key thing that you could think about, where you put something on one side and something on the other. When you think about the hypothetically the properties of a binomial distribution, right? There's four different things. On the one side, right, properties of the binomial distribution. On the other side, list them out. Um, Something like that where you can quiz yourself and you have now a way to see if you are getting the material. So kind of like a workout problem where you're able to say, did I get this right or did I not get this right? Another thing I would have you think about, hopefully you already have thought about this ahead of time, but the supplemental notes, you have a second set of notes and a second set of videos to work through, extra practice problems to work through from that. Utilize that. And related to that, the worksheets that are posted. Absolutely utilize those worksheets to your advantage. There's, again, more practice problems there, but also a lot of key concepts. So we've thrown some of the concepts into the homework problems, done some of them into the quizzes that you have, but there's just another dose of them there on those worksheets to kind of be thinking through, do you understand the nuts and bolts of what's actually happening in the course? The quizzes I kind of just mentioned, treat those like an exam. Um, you can absolutely use your full complement of notes on those quizzes. So have those nearby, but maybe start off and try to work through the problems at the very start as if you weren't going to use them, and just see how you do. Right? I don't want you to lose points because you're unprepared, um, from able to find the answers in your notes. So again, have them close by, but maybe just start off and see, can you work the problems without your notes? Can you work the problems as if it were on an exam? Again, that gives you a good way to know, do you need more practice? Okay. And the last tip that I'll give you is a lot of students struggle with exam anxiety. They struggle with the pressures of the exam. And I absolutely get that idea. I was a student once, not that long ago, although sometimes it feels longer than it really was. And so I totally get the idea that exams are pressure packed. And to some extent, there's really nothing we can do about them. Um, you know, the thing that we can do is we can put ourselves in pressure packed situations so that when we get to the exam, that pressure feels a little bit more normal to us. Okay, so what I mean by that is make yourself a fake exam. Okay, take problems from the worksheets, take problems from the supplemental notes, from my notes, from the textbook, maybe from the textbook if you haven't seen any of them, right? But do include concepts, right? Like we talked about earlier. Don't forget the concepts. So do include some true false, some making sure you know the definitions, making sure you know the symbols, things like that as well. Um, Make yourself a fake exam, give yourself a time limit, and set yourself a goal. Because you've seen some of these problems, maybe make your goal a little bit higher than your goal would be on the real exam. On the real exam, if you're looking to make an 80, maybe make your goal for this practice exam an 85. Okay. Um, the idea is that if you reach your goal, you give yourself a reward. If you don't reach your goal, you give yourself a punishment. Make it something that matters to you. Okay, that'll put some pressure on it. So, for instance, my wife loves Grey's Anatomy, right? So, for her, something that would be a great reward is if she were to come take this test, if she was a student in this class and she were to get that 85 that she was looking for, and she's successful in that endeavor, she gets to watch the latest episode of Grey's Anatomy and sits down with, a bucket of popcorn, a bag of chips, maybe a bowl of ice cream, something like that, something that would really motivate her and make her feel good. And the reward is key. Okay. If you're familiar with any, um, brain science, the reward is key because it reinforces the behaviors that you've just been doing. So that reward is key. So give yourself that reward if you meet it. And the punishment is key. Give yourself something that you don't want to do if you don't meet it. Now you gotta hold to it. You can't just sit there and say, oh well, no, I don't want to do that. Right? Force yourself to go through with the punishment, whether that is, eating. Celery for dinner, obviously more than that, but eating something like that maybe is a little bit healthier than what you normally would do, or having to do burpees or push-ups if it's a physical thing. Maybe you love fitness, so maybe that's it. Maybe it's having to stay off social media for the rest of the evening. Whatever it may be, give yourself some sort of punishment. And the reason the punishment is key isn't the actual punishment in the end, it's the pressure that's going to be put on you in the middle of taking this practice exam. What's going to happen is you're going to be taking that exam and you're going to be thinking to yourself, oh, I really don't want to be missing, I don't want to have to be off Facebook tonight. I don't want to miss the whatever TV show, whatever it may be. And so the idea is that you're putting some pressure on yourself in this practice exam. And that way, when you get to the real exam, there still will be pressure. That's not going to change, but you're going to be a little bit more comfortable with it, a little bit more used to it. In that scenario, because you've kind of put yourself through some paces there. Okay, so just an idea to try out. I want to summarize though with a reminder here: you are allowed to use a cheat sheet, but let me warn you: do not think that the cheat sheet is going to save you with regards to every single concept. Statistics is a very complicated subject, and my goal for you is it's not about memorization. It's not about memorizing a definition or memorizing a symbol. Those things are part of it. We can't really avoid it. But I want you to understand the ins and outs. I want you to understand why things are the way they are. And there are so many questions that I could ask you. I could ask you literally 100 different questions on the ins and outs of why these things are happening in this course. And I just want you to see the big picture and understand what it means and why we're doing it. I don't want you to leave this course saying, I don't know, we did some stuff with the confidence interval, we did some hypothesis testing, and it didn't really make sense to me. I don't want you to leave the course. I want you to understand why we're doing it. I know that in 5 years, you're going to forget a lot of what you learn in any course. That's totally understandable. But I want you to be able to remember the gist of why it was happening and some of the key big picture ideas. Okay. The cheat sheet isn't going to save you on the concepts if you don't know the big picture ideas. Okay. What I mean by that is you cannot fill it up with enough conceptual information and be successful in the exam within the time limit if you don't really know what you're doing. The cheat sheet is there just to kind of help confirm some things to kind of fill in some of the missing pieces, but you still need a really good handle on what we're doing, why we're doing, and how it works. Okay, so that's the key thing I want you to remember there with the cheat sheet is don't think, oh, I've got this cheat sheet, I don't need to know the concepts, because if you go that route, you are almost assuredly going to struggle on the concepts. You're going to spend way too much time trying to find through your sheet what the notes mean, and they're going to run out of time on other problems. And that's not good. Okay, so really focus in on those concepts, because again, what I want you to know is what it all means, why we're doing it, understand conceptually what is happening in this course. Okay, hopefully that helps you as you're prepping for the exam and as you're working through learning this material, and I wish you the best of luck.